There's more sport in 5 minutes when we visit Silverstone for highlights of today's Formula One World Championship British Grand Prix. It's now 19.5 minutes to 11 and time for the news on 2 with Jan Leeming.
"20 people are feared dead tonight after a British Airways helicopter came down in the sea off the Isles of Scilly. The crash happened this afternoon in thick fog, which cut visibility to 25 yards. 6 people were rescued, the 2 pilots, 2 women and 2 children. The helicopter, a Sikorsky 61 with 23 passengers and 3 crew members on board, was flying on a shuttle service from Penzance to the Scillies. It came down about a mile from its scheduled landing at St Mary's and sank in deep water. 3 lifeboats went to the scene and were joined by Wessex and Sea King helicopters with naval divers from the Royal Naval Air Station at Culdrose near Penzance. They picked up the 6 survivors, 2 of them injured. The Royal Navy's called off the helicopter search, and a specialist privately owned diving ship, the Seaforth Clansman, is on the way to the area from Falmouth. Tony Byers describes the rescue scene.
The search for the helicopter has been going on in 200 feet of water. When St Mary's lifeboat reached the scene, they could see the rotor blades below the surface, but then they sank out of view. Naval divers flown in by helicopter have been down to the wreckage, but didn't find anything. Eventually, tidal flows became too strong, and the search was called off. A special vessel equipped for deep-sea diving has now been sent to the Scillies to raise the helicopter so experts can try to find out what happened. The flight bag, giving details of the route and height, was found floating on the surface. All the 6 survivors were picked up by St Mary's lifeboat and taken to the island. One of the women had serious injuries and was immediately flown to hospital in Truro. Both the women lived in the Scillies and were returning home from a health committee meeting on the mainland. The other survivors are the pilot and co-pilot and 2 teenagers, a boy and a girl. This evening, a Navy warship is standing guard, keeping other vessels away from the area, and the salvage operations will start again in the morning.
In Northern Ireland, terrorists have shot and seriously wounded a policeman on traffic duty. A second officer escaped unhurt. The attack happened at Castlewellan in County Down at the start of a one-day agriculture show. A police hunt is now underway for the gunman who escaped in a stolen car. A report from Peter Main.
The attack was well planned, but the policemen were lucky. 3 masked gunmen took over a house near the showground last night. Local people say that every year there are police on point duty at this spot, and when 2 turned up this morning, the gunmen opened fire. One of the policemen was hit 3 times in the arm, shoulder and stomach, but his condition in hospital is now described as comfortable. Later, the funeral of the 4th UDR man killed in Wednesday's landmine explosion took place in County Tyrone. Private Ronald Alexander's coffin was carried through the streets of Omagh before being buried with military honours in a nearby country churchyard.
An explosion and fire has badly damaged a chemical factory in Holyhead tonight. The blast, which happened just before 10 o'clock, sent a big fireball and a column of smoke hundreds of feet into the air. 2 people have been treated in hospital for burns. Finally, Prince Andrew has been dancing and joking the night away. He was at the lavish British America's Cup ball in Rhode Island, and as Martin Bell reports, he came in for some leg pulling from reporters.
They call it the town where the privileged gather to play. Last night it relived its golden age under the patronage of the prince. He arrived without a partner, and the press, of course, asked why.
You're not going to be inside.
Inside, there would be a succession of partners at the social event of the season. It was held at Beechwood, one of the great old homes of the wealthy here, and the Victory Ball was a lavish bash, with dancing to the music of 3 bands. "800 people were invited to the ball, paying about £100 each for the privilege. The organisers spared no expense either. They flew in the band of the Irish Guards just to beat retreat."
That's all from me. Good night.
Now, the weather. Central and southern parts will have another hot day tomorrow with hazy sunshine. Northern areas will have a more variable day with some sunshine, but also a fair amount of cloud as well as a little rain. Temperatures will range between 30 centigrade, 80 Fahrenheit in southern England, and 19